Hello, my name is Connor Williams. I'll be delivering a presentation for Assessment 3 ECON601 for Dental Policy, for Policy Group 25. The importance of dental care can really not be understated. It is believed that 40% of children at the age of 5 are already starting to suffer from tooth decay. This number dramatically increases to 60% for the Māori community. 1 in 10 New Zealanders are already reporting that they're having to take time off work due to teeth and gum related issues. For even as William Shakespeare once said, "For there never was a philosopher who could endure a toothache patiently." Toothache and other gum related issues and all dental issues cause serious issues for everyone in New Zealand, especially the older you get. Currently, the New Zealand government has a subsidy in place for children under the age of 18 to get free dental care. This subsidy works by having the New Zealand government pay for the fees of the dental care. This has dramatically increased the amount of people who are able to receive dental care in New Zealand. This is a model of the current subsidy for children under the age of 18. This is a two-good model that compares food as good 1 and dental care as good 2. I've created a income model that shows how families will spend their money on food and dental care. I've created a utility function that shows the relationship between dental care and food for children under the age of 18. I had picked this indifference curve due to a few assumptions that I had to make. That the consumers would have a preference for the bundles. This makes it a complete. That they're reflexive, so a bundle can only be as good as itself. They're transitive, so the bundles can be compared. And that the graph is also convex, as the consumer would prefer to have both opposed to an extreme of one or the other, as no one wants food and no dental care, and no one wants a bunch of food and only dental care. So when constructing this model, it is important to realize how the subsidy has affected it. If this budget line here represents pre-subsidy, you can see that the demand for dental care is massively reduced as it is the income divided by the price of the good. In this case, people are wanting a mixture of both, so they prefer to have some dental care. As the subsidy has caused the price to go down, so the price is now easier for people to get, so more people are getting and receiving dental care, but ultimately the food is remaining the same and the amount of spending is remaining the same on food. This has caused the secondary budget line to shift to the right, as due to the monotonic optimization, we will assume that the optimal consumption bundle will be where the marginal rate of substitution meets with the slope of the budget line. So in this case, this would be the optimal consumption bundle, which is a huge increase in the amount of people receiving dental care, as the subsidy is now paid for entirely out of pocket from the New Zealand government. This is section B. I'll be discussing my policy and the consumeral and the behavioural economics behind the policy that will get it to function properly. Dental issue is a severe problem for young adults, as it's known that after the age of 18, the amount of people going to dentists and receiving dental care declines sharply. Young adults are also incredibly vulnerable to not going to the dentist more often due to them being at their lowest point of income over their life. As most young people are only just entering the workforce, leaving home and go into university. This policy is aimed at young adults and making sure that the number of young adults going to the dentist increases. This policy will be to subsidise the cost of dentists for people between the ages of 18 to 25. This aims to reduce the cost by 35% for this demographic. I will be using some behavioural economic tools to make this policy more appealing, to get more young people to use this policy, and for people to not overreact so much about it. Now, an important thing is that behavioural economics is a study of human choices using psychological studies. Understanding, and with the use of psychology, understanding consumer preferences and choices that they make. In normal classic economics, we assume that all actors in policies and consumption are rational actors, and that they can make the best choices for themselves given the facts. In real life, people are a lot more susceptible to things like framing, which is how the options are presented and given to consumers, and fairness norms, which is how people use their views on fairness and justice to affect how they observe or feel about a policy, which can affect their decision-making process. The framing effect on policy is that most people base their decisions off arbitrary facts. This can be seen when people choose between cars or products based on looks or aesthetics opposed to any real hard facts. When people are making choices, they often use their preferences. They often don't understand their preferences very well and can make choices that don't optimally benefit them. People are incredibly concerned about loss aversion. People hate when they feel like they're losing out on something. They hate it way more than if you were to give them an equal beneficiary thing. They hate it more than they would feel good. These two things have to be taken into account when constructing the policy. Fairness and norms is the next section. People's views on what they think is fair and just will heavily affect how they feel about a given policy or topic. Fact is, no one likes being ripped off, and it's very easy to create a feeling of being ripped off even when people aren't. People will often even sacrifice their own gains to punish what they feel is unfair. Now, taxation for many people can feel like it's an unfair loss for them, especially if they're not in a demographic that a policy is aimed at. In this case, there'll be a lot of older adults who are feeling that the policy is unfair to them and has no real beneficiary gains. It's important for that demographic that we minimize the amount of cost, minimize the amount of loss that they feel. This can be done via framing the topic via changing the framing of the topic, of the policy. In this policy, I've created a decoy option to make the original policy seem far more appealing and to hopefully get more people to use it in the future. Option 1, by providing two options, they now feel a lot better about, they can now perceive their preferences a lot better now that they've got a worse option to go with. They can either receive the 35% subsidy for the costs, or they can pay fully out of pocket for the dentist.